Hi Cancer, welcome to my channel. I am your Cosmic Auntie, the interstellar storyteller, and this is going to be your monthly readings. I'm recording this for December, but it really could find you at any time and feel relevant to you, so whenever it does, I'm just glad you're here. Cancer. The visual that I received for you, Cancer, was of a beautiful velvety red bow, and it was like one with those like long like tails, and it had like two little snips, you know, like a classic bow. And yeah, it was really like, you know, kind of like velvety, but like, and it is, you know, the holiday season, so I think of a theme that has been rippling through all of the readings is a sense of giving and receiving, in a way that's like linked to authentic soul energy and sharing the wealth of the soul, the discovery of the soul within each of us, and how that's another word, theme that's arising through this month is the word cultivation. So how do we cultivate certain aspects and gifts of the soul into our physical reality to share with the collective in, you know, the intention of the greater good. Excuse me, the greater good, and setting up new structures and new systems of community and connection, and showing up in a sense of authenticity and feeling valued for that authenticity, and being giving from this deep place of love to benefit the community and change and shift, you know, the structures and systems in place that we see now, into cultivating these new structures and systems rooted in ancient ways, and how rooted in ancient ways and manifested and cultivated in, you know, present day, adding so much that we have learned as well through the passage of time. So I hope that makes sense. I feel like there's a notion of like you being the gift, Cancer. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, you as a gift. So let's see what the cards have in store. This is the Star Tarot. It's amazing. I love this deck. I hope you enjoy the images. They're gorgeous. The Lightworker Oracle provides just like such a beautiful conclusion and summary of energy at the end of the reading. And then the African Goddess Rising Oracle, which is a deck that is African goddesses, deities, queens, ancestors, and their powerful, beautiful, magnificent energy that we can learn from. So I hope you enjoy. Let's get into this. And as you pay attention to the messages, always bounce them off your own inner knowing, right, Cancer? You know yourself best. Please take what you want and leave the rest. I hope that these come alongside you and your soul discovery. Okay, Cancer, big red bow. Okay. Wow. So we've got the King of Swords. So if there we go. These are just so gorgeous, right? King of Swords, there's so much to see. I find that I have longer pauses in between what I say with these cards because there's just like, it's packed full of information. We have the Justice card. The Princess of Pentacles. Look at this card. and the Princess of Cups. Sorry, just really taking it in. There's things that have been brought into balance. The first thing I heard is like kind of karma being brought into balance. King of Swords always gives me deep generational healing energy. It also gives me collective healing energy. It's our air energy, right? It's what we share. We all breathe the same air. So there's a collective quality to it. And again, also a generational healing quality. King of Swords can be an exceptional energy to kind of connect to or channel into experiences of really like unblocking or healing kind of a family line in a sense, and bringing things into balance with the Justice card, the sense of justice being served. So there's also this sense of like, yeah, recalibration, rebalancing. I just sense there's like deep healing involved here in order to get to the King of Swords and the Justice. I feel like the King of Swords has been like a tool used to yeah, like help kind of clear family line. So I keep seeing like a trail with a bunch of like brambles in the way, and like a dude on a horse, person on a horse with like a freaking sword that's chopping through it, right? Like we're gonna get through this. We're going to unblock this like energy vein. And there's been a rebalancing and alchemy, and also just like, I can't put it into words, Cancer. There's something else I'm sensing, and it's really challenging to put into words. I'm gonna just let that percolate. And when it comes to kind of collective healing as well, there's a lot of sensitivity I sense with collective energy, and finding a way to wield that sensitivity, to interact with it, like there's so many ways I try to describe this. It's like to wield it, to understand it, to protect it, because there's like a lot of responsibility that comes with being very sensitive to collective energy, because it can be, it's a lot. So the King of Swords is very adept at this. They've learned how to interact with this, and also to always be able to hear the deep inner self, the self within community. They understand that they are an individual within the collective, and that there's certain boundaries to be had with that, because the King of Swords is also really healthy boundaries. I'm getting so much of like kind of turning around and being like, saying to something that has been identified, like, you can't come any further. And the King of Swords is like a total warrior that way too, when it comes to mental energy, finding the mental power to look at some of like challenging places in the psyche, in the memory, in our experience, and stand strong. Like, I just saw like the Lord of the Rings. I always equate the King of Swords to Gandalf the Grey standing up to the Balrog, "You shall not pass," and getting pulled into the depth, and like really holding on to the truth and transforming into Gandalf the White. That is what I'm feeling here, Cancer, with the Justice as well, right? The scales, the balancing of the scales, like something has been balanced. And now with the princesses here, the pages, there's this budding, blossoming, tenderness like coming through. There's this notion of like really like feeling like there's like you are the gift. That's what I'm bringing this back to. Really exploring, you know, the soul gifts, the sense of love, compassion, cultivation, intuition, all of these things that come with the princesses, like princesses of earth and princesses of cups. I feel like there is just so much more of an authentic way that is being shown up in life. Like there's just this notion of really feeling like a deeper connection to self and soul. But the soul is expressed through our personality, right? What else is coming up for Cancer with this big red bow? Interesting. Okay, so the Devil. Yeah, there's been something, there's like a reward, there's a gift. You've rebalanced Devil energy, which is anything that is holding us back, anything that is weighing us down, anything that is obstructing a flow, draining energy. These are coping mechanisms that are outdated and becoming unhealthy. These are you know, fears and, you know, self-doubt, and this is you know, tricky things like that that often are kind of something that we pop the lid off of and go even deeper into, to ask ourselves, you know, what's there, and to be able to release and rebalance that energy. So I want to show you what this looks like to me. So it's like, it looks like this. So there's these two, right? There's this duality. This is like represented by, you know, the other side of the Lovers card, our dual nature, our essence, our, you know, expression of masculine and feminine energy, and our alchemy within, our alchemy, just plain and simple, our sense of love and connectedness with soul and self. This is like the Devil energy is where we feel disconnected from our power, and so I feel like I just saw like a plug going into a wall outlet. So there's been a reconnection, Cancer. There's been a reconnection, and I feel like it's both. I feel like it's both like the Creator giving a gift, like, as well as a gift that, like, gifts that you are expressing out into the world, if that makes sense. So it feels like there's a you know, spiritual gift after all of this. I feel like an intense process. Like there's a certain like family line that you have healed, or at least, you know, like, because it's a process, right? Nothing is really a destination, but that has been really rebalanced in a way. And I feel like, yeah, there's spiritual gifts in that, right? Like, because ancestral gifts and soul gifts are also in the shadow in many ways. So like many of them lie in the shadow. So the more we clear, the more we bring our truth and our awareness and our perspective and our insight into the Devil energy places, we also discover those shining gems in the caverns of our soul. And as we clear away that energy, they have more room to shine. You know what I mean? And then there's this like glow that really is quite beautiful, that emanates from within. And yeah, I just, it's cool. It's really cool. It's really cool. I hope that this makes sense. Please let me know if this resonates in the comments. I love hearing from you. There's so much awareness of like what you feel too. Like there's just like a sense of really owning one's emotions and feeling the depth and security of that of your truth, and it's assisting and showing up in authentic ways and being able to connect to authentic opportunities and experiences, and also to trust in your ability to navigate any challenging experiences that arise based on this like real profound, like, you know, mental ability to really like to bring your awareness to challenging places and eroding them, shifting them is what I was going to say, shifting and eroding them into a balance. The Justice too, like, it keeps giving me this like this bow visual that came up at the beginning of the reading. It's giving me this like beautiful velvety red bow, and I also kind of like hear applause too. So like there has been some element of justice here, and it is assisting in this blossoming princess energy. So the princesses are the page in this deck. The pages have made significant accomplishments, but they are also just at the beginning of their journey in many ways too. They are very curious about everything. So with the Princess of Pentacles, they are curious at how to use certain resources to cultivate, you know, an authentic feeling life, as well as participate in the greater sense of community in an authentic way. They're ready to read. They are ready to sign up for workshops. They are ready to really put the time and effort into learning through physical kind of manifestations. They also are really exploring their intuition and how to use resources that they have in order to cultivate more, in order to progress this, like, progress whatever, if this resonates with you, right? Progress their soul purpose. Let's say that's really what I'm talking about here. And like, look at this card. Look at it. So beautiful. And then the Princess of Cups is the emotions. It's the sensitivity, and it's, this notion of really becoming curious about emotional processes, about compassion, really getting to know, I heard, what the inner voice sounds like. Because it's right under the King of Swords, so there's this notion of an inner voice, where the mind connects with the heart. So then we've got Queen of Wands coming out. Wow. And the Ten of Pentacles. Yeah, there's just you have so much to give, Cancer. You have so much to give, and I sense for those of you who are here and resonate with this reading, there's just so much that you provide in the environments you find yourself into, like, so generous, Cancer. I feel like such a generous energy, and that's part of your archetype. You know, you're very nurturing. But I feel like there's also an element of remembering how badass you are and how you can be generous and fierce all at the same time. There's this notion of kind of duality as well, of being more, I guess I heard the word forgiving to being a dynamic self, because we are made up, like it is like there's this notion of like we're allowed to feel multiple things at once, you know. It's confusing sometimes, absolutely, but it's also okay, because sometimes two things can be true at once. Like I said, you can be fierce, have strong boundaries, as well as be generous and giving, right? Like the two aren't mutually exclusive. Sometimes as healers, we think that they are. Like boundaries can feel somewhat like mean and foreign almost at the beginning. But I feel with the King of Swords here, like there's been some serious, deep journeying and mental energy towards releasing, you know, where this devil is residing, releasing anything that is draining your energy, releasing, you know, painful memories, or, you know, things like that. And it takes time, right? Like this is where I get our awareness is our superpower, because, and that is the relationship, because like there's going to be triggers throughout time, and there's a gentleness that and a love that we bring to ourselves through practicing that relationship that is a lot more effective than when, so oftentimes when we first start the journey, where we kind of, because there's also times where we're not ready to visit things, right? And it's all a process, and always go at your own pace and only do what feels comfortable, right? But what I feel here is that there's been, yeah, an acceptance of, yeah, your dynamics. You can know your truth and be open to the truth all at the same time. Because it's always important to be able to take in new information and to be able to take in what another is saying, but it's also absolutely okay to really trust yourself in what feels right and authentic to you. Remaining open to integrating what feels right and coming up against any kind of triggers, right? Like sometimes we come across like people who are just really rooted and don't want to even hear or move or budge at all, because they're just like, you know, in their own space where it is uncomfortable to kind of, I guess, expand, right? It's uncomfortable to have like your truth threatened, but it's like there's an invitation there to shift that perspective and just be open to new information and be humble enough to filter it into the truth. And like I feel that from you, Cancer. Like there's just this like notion of being open to new information, but also like I heard the word manipulation, so like having really strong boundaries if it comes to any kind of manipulative energy as well, because that's so important. Like there is such a open tender-heartedness here, Cancer, and that's where I'm getting this like fierce gentleness, because being gentle and being giving and generous doesn't mean that you get to just get like stomped on, right? And that's just, yeah. So there's a kind of a feeling of that, and like really kind of, yeah, holding your own with that. Also kind of, I see like minding your business with that and focusing on things that really feel, again, connected to that soul and going, kind of trusting in the direction that you're going, because there has been a lot that's been released with that. The truth has been brought into those moments. So there's healthier boundaries in place, and there's more awareness of that even experience, right? It's like manipulation works until it doesn't. When we become aware of that, on the bottom, the Hermit. Yeah, there's been a lot of reflection, introspection, going within, and cutting cords, clearing energy, and bringing, yeah, the heart and the soul back into balance. What else was I going to say about, I don't really remember. Yeah, it was back to like, just being discerning, I guess, about the gift as well. Coming back to the bow, like they just keep showing me the bow. And so when we're talking about becoming aware of any type of energy being manipulated, especially when there's a generous heart, sometimes it can take a second to, catch on to it, because it can be kind of passive at times too, and it can kind of like show up behind a smile even. And so I just feel like there's been a lot of healing with yourself and reconnection to the self when it comes to where the self, you feel separated through experiences of manipulation, and how that is internalized to manipulating the self and the exploration of that. And again, coming back to, like, I feel like there's a spiritual gift, like the spirit's like, oh my gosh, you're a gift, which is feeling more connected to the self, and then therefore showing up in your environment in authentic ways, which blesses the environment. The Queen of Wands, like, wow, too, like, Queen of Wands is this vibrant energy, vibrant, confident, expressive. Like, they'll fight you as well, hostess with the mostest, but they'll be the first ones to kick you out too. So there's something there with that. And honestly, I love to see it, because it's like assisting in a more aligned and abundant sense of community and connection, because of this healing, because of this awareness, because of like really learning to trust yourself in regards to where boundaries are needed, and the kind of boundaries are needed, because that's going to look different. That's going to shift all the time as well. And that's where I've sensed the practice and the maintenance, coming to terms with like knowing that there is maintenance when it comes to boundaries, and allowed to be able to shift them, and to to shift them and recalibrate them in the ways that see fit. This is a card of connection, of community, of groups, of celebration and stuff like that. So this all going to be really revolving around like group dynamics, and like feeling really leaning into your truth, and when it comes to your experience within groups thus far, and what you've learned, and how you're applying that to where you're feeling valued and respected, because that is so important, right, Cancer? To feel valued and respected for the gifts that you give, and also to have your boundaries honored in these groups because of the gifts you have. Just because you are generous doesn't mean that you are always available, always accessible, right? And like I said, at first I could probably have felt really foreign, but I feel like there's a flow being like reached here, and it feels good. And there's this, but that's where I've sensed this budding and blossoming energy of the princesses here. This prosperous energy, this space to explore the depth of the soul and to rejuvenate and rest and tune in with life and love and creativity, and when it feels ready, find ways to share that in the physical reality. And ultimately, Cancer, I feel like there's this energy is presenting in a way that's like really knowing that you got your own back, and like being aware of like who also you feel are like the real ones, like, because I feel like they have been a very important component to awakening to any kind of dynamics that are manipulative, because these ones that we're talking about aren't manipulative. So it's like almost, yeah, they've taught you a lot about being respected, about being valued, about having your space and your boundaries respected. And that has been a huge assistance in deepening that trust with the self, and knowing what you deserve, and knowing where you feel comfortable, and knowing that you are a freaking blessing, and you think, you are a blessing. So yeah, Cancer. I just heard that your nervous system will know, and that's been something too, like the nervous system really does know when there's like, when the dynamics and the energy is like uncomfortable, when you feel drained. And the nervous system also knows when it's relaxed, so I feel like that there's something there with that too. Really paying attention to the nervous system, which is also King of Swords, right? Our mind. We got 3. Okay, so we've got Tanit, pleasure. Like, these are so beautiful. We have Mabuya Nahanda, radical rebirth. Oh, they're glossy, sorry. And then we have Aunt Nancy, betrayal. Yeah, this devil energy, put the Aunt Nancy on there. What we were, just talking about, of like really paying attention to the feelings that feel, the ways you feel off when it comes to certain experiences where there was manipulation, or there's situations that really, kind of attempted to take power away, and maybe felt, there is a sense of powerlessness, and because betrayal is such a painful experience. And like going back to the beginning of this reading, when we're talking about healing generational lines, collective healing, and going into the shadow, clearing, and all of the things we talked about at the beginning. I feel like that is, Aunt Nancy is assisting with labeling those kind of spaces. And betrayal can look so many different ways. There's so many ways that we can feel betrayed. And feelings of betrayal, like, deserve validation. So I feel like, you know, there's this notion of validating those feelings, you know, to provide insight on like why those experiences were painful. So, and if, you know, when we're thinking about collective healing too, we have collective shadow that we all have to, you know, work with in our own unique way. So I feel like if you're resonating with the collective sense too, like this blossoming, this alignment and rebalancing is also assisting in showing up in authentic ways that feel aligned with how you'd like to contribute to collective healing as well, right? Like micro to the macro, right? And we betray each other all the time, and we need to like really look at that and like because betrayal can make us distrust ourselves as well, distrust each other. And so there's a big invitation for healing there. And then we have in radical rebirth and, you know, ultimately returning to pleasure, returning to joy and passion and like I heard the word decadence again, and I had that in Gemini's reading too. I feel like I want to look at these declarations, the goddess declarations. So Aunt Nancy, I am willing to know the truth. Yes, there is a truth to the feelings of betrayal, like something has occurred. So, shadow of betrayal, diaspora / the Akan, temple shadows, element air. So Anansi or Kwaku Anansi, the Akan trickster god, the sacred clown, snuck into our global folktales. Ogolagichi, children heard of tales of Aunt Nancy, the tricky spider woman. My Guyanese parents entertained us with Nancy stories about a witty teen spider. So Aunt Nancy's shadow guidance. Who really betrayed you? ? Betrayals from others mirrors you betraying yourself. So that goes back to that kind of like identification of that experience and how that has become internalized into, you know, where we can bring our awareness to where the devil energy, or where there's blockages or doubts or fears or triggers, right? So embodiment. Betrayal is a web that disrupts everything you thought you knew. Use discernment in your relationships. Betrayal makes it difficult to trust, but without trust, your relationships are a lie. Trust that no matter what happens and no matter how long it takes, you will survive and thrive. The real question, how have you betrayed or abandoned yourself? And I feel like that there's this alignment with self that is being brought back into balance, and like I just saw puzzle pieces fitting together, connection and momentum and confidence, Cancer, this awareness like of the gifts you have to share and who and where and when you'd like to share them, and feeling discerning and protective over them when they are being developed or cultivated or treasured. And there's connections to deep ancestral gifts as well when it comes to anyone who resonates with generational healing. There's been gifts received, gems uncovered, and, you know, however you're feeling comfortable letting them shine or bringing them out to cultivate them in some way, share them within the collective. There is ancestral gifts like really I feel clicking into place at a deeper level. 5. So Mabuya Nahanda, goddess of radical rebirth. Shona, Zimbabwe, so their temple of ancestors, also an air element. born around 1840, Charwe Nayakasikana, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I tried my best, channeled a Mahandaro, an ancient royal lion spirit named Nahanda, who has been incarnated by revolutionary Shona women for at least 500 years. Heralded as Mabuya Nahanda, Grandmother Nahanda, this great ancestress was a healer who declared war against colonial occupation. Yes. So Mabuya Nahanda's guidance. Yes, you can. Stop the struggle. You can choose at any moment to start over and be reborn. Like the sun, you rise again and again. Yes, you Phoenix, you. So there has been something where it's like you turn around and was like, okay, stop, what is this? And shifted it and healed it, dove in, and, you know, have this radical rebirth experience that is assisting in deepening into soul vibes, soul gifts, and how to manifest them into physical reality through the form of showing up authentically to heal the collective. So, embodiment. Dust yourself off, move forward, and go for it again. Life is about transition and change. You will fall on your face, change your mind, and need to make a comeback again and again. Release the idea that you messed up if things aren't perfect. Stop waiting to be ready. Make new choices and decisions. The declaration is still I rise. Yeah. I get knocked down, but I get up again. And feeling again that sense of like healthy community in stark contrast of unhealthy community or unhealthy connections, and how that is assisted in like being able to identify unhealthy dynamics. All right, last one. 11. So Tanit, goddess of pleasure. Tunisia, the temple conjures also an air element. So there is like deep mental power, mental, agility, truth, perspectives, insights, expressions, ideas. There is so much air energy coming forward. So Tanit was the goddess of the stars in ancient Carthage. Today, all the way over to Ibiza, they still have pleasure-filled full moon, midnight table dancing parties in her name. So Tanit's guidance. You are thirsty for more pleasure. You can't thrive when life feels dry. You are made of laughter and stardust, not sawdust. Pleasure is your birthright, a gift from the universe. Yes, a gift from the universe. Pleasure is your birthright. That is the spiritual gift of feeling more pleasure, feeling more grounded and connected to the body and to the earth and to how the senses feel, you know? Embodiment. How much juicy pleasure can you stand? Turn up the pleasure principle. You secretly feel that you don't deserve it, but pleasure is a healing and manifesting force. Loving, laughing, and orgasmic joy is holy. Hold your hands over your reproductive area and say aloud, I deserve pleasure. Goddess declaration. It feels good to feel good. So yeah, there's this alignment. There's this, like I keep saying that with you, Cancer, alignment with like the soul, the heart, the mind, the body. Again, the puzzle piece fitting together, this click into place that has been, very much after a process of looking at what the divide is and reconnecting to the self through trusting the self, through validating certain painful spaces that you've been working with. So we've got 18, Ascension, the Rainbow Bridge. Okay, let's look. Oh my goodness, 18. All right, so the Ascension, the Rainbow Bridge. You have been growing spiritually and your consciousness is expanding. It is transforming your experience of the material world from something you must control or conquer into a living expression of the radiant divine. As your appreciation and love for the material world becomes more unconditional, so too does the light that can flow into your aura, chakras, physical body. As you psychically expand, you may need more rest, healing, and meditation than usual to integrate this increasing degree of light and the consciousness that awakens within you. So the Rainbow Bridge is a term for the channel of light that moves through your chakra systems and along your spine, allowing spirit to enter your body and stimulate the development of your soul. This bridge comes to life as your consciousness is raised. It draws in higher energies that nourish and awaken your body, mind, and soul through your chakra system. So yeah, there's that alignment, that connectivity, this immense amount of energy. And what does it say here? The radiant divine, living expression of the radiant divine. So wow. Thanks for being here, Cancer. I hope this is helpful in some way. Keep your boundaries strong. Keep revisiting them and adjusting them as need be, so that you are having a nice balance of rest and rejuvenation, as well as momentum and expression, and sharing your gifts. Because if you're resonating and you're still here, there's a lot that is being downloaded and shifted into place. There's activation of these areas. So yeah, be gentle with yourself. I love you so much.